Hello my fashion lovers, welcome to today's tutorial. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, put on the notification bell to get my videos anytime I post a new video. Today we'll be looking at Today we are going to be looking at how to cut and sew a princess bust that Princess Bustier. We are going to be looking at how to cut, how to sew, and how to pad a princess that Bustier. To cut the princess bust that, the measurement I'm working with is 17 plus 2 inches sewing allowance, making it 19. I'll mark it out. This is going to be my starting point. From my shoulder to my bust is 11 inches. Shoulder to under bust is 14 inches. And shoulder to waist is 17 inches plus 2 inches sewing allowance. Let me mark it out. To mark the shoulder measurement I'm working with is 15. When you divide it by 2 to give you 7.5, I will put it here. Then take my 1 inch shoulder slope and take my armhole. I'll be making use of is 8.5. And this becomes my chest line, my bust line, my under bust, and my waistline. For the neck parts, I'll be making use of a boat neck, so I'll be taking 5 inches. 5 inches by 2.5, 3 inches, but I'm going to use the half inch to join. And I will connect. After cutting on this paper, I will cut on my fabric because my fabric is, if I'm marking on the fabric, you won't see what I'm marking. So that's why I'm marking it here. I'll transfer to my fabric, the shoulder slope, the neckline. The bust measurement I'm working with, the bust measurements, the nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with is 7.5 plus 1 inch sewing allowance to make it 8. If I divide it by 2, it will give me 4 inches. So I'll take it down. To avoid my bust points being pointy at the nipple point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. Come down by 1 inch and go up by 1 inch. I'll come down by 1 inch and go down by 1 inch. For my bust, for my darts, I'll be taking 1.5 inches here because I'm working with a small bust. 1.5 inches. I will take 1 inches here. 1 inches. I will take 1.5. Depending on the size of the bust you're working with. From where I came down to the bust point, I'll connect. Then I'll connect again on this side. This place has to be curved, please. Then I will come down up the straight. Then I will find the middle of my armhole. I'll find the middle of my armhole. Find the middle of your armhole. And I will come in to avoid folds on the armpit. I will come in by 1/2 inch. I'll come in by 1/2 inch to avoid folds on the arm area. To connect to my bust, I have to get my bust circumference. The bust circumference I'm working with is 39. When I divide it by 4, I will have 9 3/4. From here, I will connect to this 1/2 inch I came in with. And from here, I'll connect to the top parts. And I'm going to connect to this point. I'm going to connect it to this point. From this point, I'm going to come down by 1 inch. From this point, I'll come down by 1 inch. And I'll go up by 1 inch. And I will connect. I'll connect this side as well. Make sure you blend this middle parts. Make sure you blend it. Let it not be straight so that you have that curved edge. Make sure you blend it to have that curved edge. For this part, I came down from here. I came down by 1 inch and went up by 1 inch. That is, I deducted 2 inches here. I'm still going to add it back. I'll add it back here, but I will add 1/2 inch to it. I'll add 1/2 inch to it. It's better to have excess. I'll add 1/2 inch to it. All right, to take our body measurements, the bust measurement I'm working with is 39 divided by 4 will give you 9 3/4. 9 3/4 is here, and I will take 2 inches sewing allowance. Depending on how many inches sewing allowance you want to take, I will take 2, and I will also take 2 for my darts. Let me take 3 for my darts. And the underbust I'm working with is 34. When I divide it by 4, it will give me 8 1/4. 8 1/4. I'm going to this 1.5 and 1 that I took out from this side, that is 2.5. I will impute it here. 2.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. The same thing with the waist. The waist circumference I'm working with is 35. When you divide it by 4, it will give you 8.5. I will impute it here. The 2.5 that I'm going to remove from here, I will add it here, plus 2 inches sewing allowance. That will connect. For this part, I'm going to join it, my armhole. See what I have here. So with this, I'm going to cut it on my fabric. I'll cut it on the fabric. Let me cut it. Now we are going to cut. If you're cutting here, make sure your hand is cold. Before I cut it off, I want to check where my padding is going to start. I want to check where my padding will start. My padding is going to start 6 inches. For my padding is going to start where this place stops. That is where my padding will start, 6 inches. I'll cut it on the fabric so that you see what we have. I'll cut it on the fabric, see what we have here. For the back parts, I will still be working with length 17 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. And I'm going to take my zip allowance of 1 inch. You can make use of 2, you can make use of 3, depending on what you want. But for me, I'm making use of only 1 inch. For the zip allowance, For this back, we don't need shoulder to waist, shoulder to under bust. The shoulder I'm working with is 15 divided by 2 will give you 7.5. Take 1 inch shoulder slope, and from here I'm going to take my 8.5 for the chest line, then the waist parts. This will serve as my chest line. And the waist. For this one, the neck measurement I'll be working with is the front I took 5, so the back I'm going to take 5 again, and the back length I'll be taking 1.5 inches for the back. Okay, 1.5. Let me take 2 inches for the back, and I will connect. I'll be using a normal dart for the back. The bust measurement I'm working with is 39 divided by 2. It will give me, divide by 2 will give me 9.75, and I will take 2 inches sewing allowance. The waist measurement I'm working with is 35. When I divide it by 4, it will give me 8.5 plus 2 inches sewing allowance. From here, I'm going to take the nipple to nipple measurement I'm working with is 7.5 plus half inch sewing allowance will make it 8. When I divide it by 2, to give me 4 to serve as my darts for the back. To serve as my darts for the back. From this chest line, I'll come down by 1 inch, and on this waistline, I will take half inch on this side. I will take half inch on this side. I will connect to the chest line. This 1 inch I'm going to deduct from here. From here, I will add it to my sewing allowance, and I will connect. For the armhole, I will get the mid armhole. I'll get the midpoint that will connect. This is for my back. And then at this zip side, to avoid zip bulge at the back, from this waistline, I will come in by half inch, and I will connect it to the shoulder line. To avoid folds at the back. Now I'm going to cut. If you have any question, please ask. With this, I'll use it to cut up my fabric. I'll extend the neck to the zip allowance. With this, I'll use it and cut on my fabric. To cut on my fabric, I'm going to fold it into two. Fold it into two. Fold my fabric into two. Then I'm going to place my pattern. I'm going to place my pattern and cut. Can you see what I'm doing? There's no need adding allowance while cutting because I added all my allowances when I was drafting. So I don't need to add any other allowance here. It's going to be for the middle. Make sure you notch your bust points so that when you're joining, you won't find it difficult. And also this part, notch your bust points so that when you're joining, you won't find it difficult. Can you see what I have here? Can you see what I have here? The same way you cut out this, that is the same way you're going to cut the lining. Let's cut the padding. For the padding, I'll be making use of this hard wording. For the padding, I'm going to make use of this hard wording. And what we were sewing, what we were drafting, we measured. Now you're going to fold it into two. Fold it into two. I'll fold it into two and place. I wouldn't want it to get to the armhole, so I'm going to measure where I want it to stop. From the bust point, I will take 5 inches. From this bust point, I will take 5 inches. Take 5 inches. This is my under bust. I'm starting from my under bust. This is my under bust, and this is my bust point. Can you see what I'm doing? From this point, I marked 5 inches because I wouldn't want it to get to the armhole. And this is my under bust. This is my under bust. From here, I'm going to connect. To get to my under bust. And from these 5 points I marked, I'm going to connect. You can use your curve, or you can use your hand. So what I have here, now connect to this place. This is my bust point. I'll cross check. Bust point to my under bust. Then I will cut. Make sure you cover your hand. When I get to this bust point, I will notch it because it's going to be easier for me when I'm joining it. Can you see what I have here? Notch your bust point so that when you are joining, you won't find it difficult to join. Now I'm going to cut the middle part. I'll use this pattern and cut the middle part. For the middle part, I'll mark my bust points, and my under bust, and I will measure from here. I'll take 6 inches. So this is where I will stop. For the front, I took 6 inches from the shoulder line. This is where it will stop for the front. Start from the under bust. 6 inches. That's where it will start from. And I'll cut. I'm going to notch my bust points. Always notch your bust points to avoid mistakes. It's very important. Now from this 6 inches, that is where I will cut from. I will join it. When I join it, you're going to see it. The same way you cut this, that is the same way you're going to cut your lining. I finished putting my hairstay. Now I'm going to put the padding. Look for the shiny part, the one that will come. Look for it. Look for your notched parts. You look for the notched parts on your bust points. Look for the notched parts of this place. Make sure it's going to align together. Make sure it aligns together. Can you see? Then I'm going to put my hemming gum. Make sure that the points you marked, that they are aligning the bust points. That's the essence of notching, so that it will align. I will iron it. Can you see my own is aligning? Make sure it aligns very well. Now I'm going to gum it. Can you see? I will do the same thing to the second one. And for this part, I'll take my gum. I'll look for the bust points where I notched. See where I notched, so it will be here. So we'll come down. See the essence of notching, so that you can be able to mark it. See where I notched these parts. The shiny side, that's where I'm going to go. This is the shiny side. This is the place where I notched these parts. This is the part where I notched. I'm going to If you have your steam iron, you don't need to be doing this. My steam iron is spoiled, so that's why I'm using water so it will gum very well. Now I'm going to show you in the machine how I'm going to join it. We'll go to the machine and join it. Trim out these excesses. Let's go to the machine and join. Now you take this part and join. Let's take it and join to this part. And what you want to sew, start from the down part. Start from the down part. Look for that place where you notched. Make sure it's matching. And you're going to sew half an inch you use to join when you were joining. And if you know you cannot, for beginners, if you know you don't know what half an inch is when you are sewing, you cannot dictate what half an inch is when you are sewing. Just take your chalk and mark out half an inch so that it will guide you. Follow the curve. Make sure you follow the curve. So you're coming up, you can reduce your range. As you're coming up, you can reduce your range. But when you want to sew, make sure it's aligned from the bust points. Make sure it's aligned. You start from the down part to sew. Make sure it's aligning where you notched it. Then you sew. Now I'm going to sew with the half inch that I marked. I'll backstitch first. Follow the line. Start feeding it in. Start feeding it. As you go, feeding it. Going to sew in the second one and show. Make sure that the bust points are aligned. After sewing, can you see what I have? Can you see how it's standing? I'm still going to press it. I'm still going to press it. I'm still going to press it. Open up all these places. I will open it up. All these places. I'm going to press it open. You press this place open. I'm going to use this ball that I made. I made it with my fabric. I used pieces of fabric, wrapped it inside. Then I tied it, used the gum stay to smoothen it. Use the gum stay to smoothen it. Now I'm going to use it to press, open it up. I'm going to use the gum to press it down. Okay. After pressing the back, turn to the front and press. After pressing, see what I have here.